And so within the brain itself, apart from the major subdivisions which we just described, there are minor subdivisions, and here's a bunch of them listed: the caudate nucleus, the cerebral cortex, the huge newest part of the brain that's about a square meter. If you unfold it, it's all folded up, and most of the processing occurs right on the surface. That's the idea anyways. The thalamus, that's a place where a lot of might use to describe your own behavior. Because you can roughly, there is a psychology of motivation and there's a psychology of emotion, and you might think, well, emotion and motivation are categorically different entities, but they're not. In fact, there's no such thing as a uniform set of motivations, and there's no such thing as a uniform set of emotions, and the distinction between a motivation and an emotion is unclear, to say the least, and that's partly because the physiological substructures that subsume what we call motivations and what we call emotions, and it's not like there's a motivation center that's homogeneous. The closest is the hypothalamus, but it's made of structures that are qualitatively different. And then the emotions, because I have to use that descriptive terminology because we have to communicate about it somehow. There's all sorts of different structures in the brain that contribute to emotional expression, and they're not even in the same place, much less composed of identical structure or function. So we have these shorthands that we use to divide up the world, but they're awkward and untenable as the level of resolution increases. But anyways, I'm still going to go with motivation and emotion because it's a useful simplification. But you can see with the hypothalamus that there's all these complicated little subsystems in there, and I showed you that video to show you just how complicated the subsystems are, all the way down to the molecular level. How those little machines manage what they do is completely beyond me. To call it clockwork when those little things that walk can walk over obstacles. It's like clockwork does one thing, only. Click, 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 click. That's all it does. No exceptions. This thing walks over obstacles to get where it's going. It's like, who knows what's going on down there. But it works well enough, so here we are, weirdly enough.